Let's talk about then your background, because you have a unique and a diverse one to get you to this particular point.
Well, let's just say for 10 years I worked for the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department. And in that time I worked in every asset of not only the facility but the department itself. I worked as a correction officer, a deputy sheriff, and my last approximately 3 years as a lieutenant, I managed hundreds of employees and thousands of inmates. And while I was there, I put myself through undergraduate school at University of Massachusetts at Boston, and then almost directly afterwards, the Suffolk University Law School. After that time, I went directly to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, where I worked for our now Congressman Bill Keating. In a very short amount of time, I was given a tremendous amount of responsibility. I prosecuted all manner of criminal cases ranging from minor motor vehicle infractions to major felonies in both district and superior court, and was a member of the motor vehicle homicide team. My last 6 months I was in charge of district court prosecution for Quincy and Stoughton district courts. After I left, or after my time with the district attorney's office, I had a unique opportunity to work for the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. It's our now auditor, Secretary Suzanne Bump. And I worked in the Underground Economy Task Force. And a lot of people question, what is the Underground Economy Task Force? And it was a task force designed by an executive order by the governor to go after or to seek out the so-called bad actors or the illegitimate businesses. And when you say that it's so broad, the underground economy is so far-reaching that we can only scratch the surface. I mean, it's estimated nationwide into the billions of dollars that we're losing as taxpayers alone. But my job was to stress interagency coordination and cooperation, is to come up with ideas and initiatives that did that, and also to identify the illegitimate businesses, and to not only bring them up to code or regulation if you could, but also refer them to the Attorney General's office, who we worked with extensively for prosecution when appropriate. What we really did is to piggyback authority that one agency had on another, so that we would get a tip, which, I created an anonymous tip line for the task force itself. And what we wanted to do is to create a venue or an area where people could let us know when things are going bad, or when they think an employer is illegitimate, or when they think that people aren't paying their taxes, when they think that they're not paying into the unemployment assistance fund, which these days is more important than ever. Other sorts of infractions are sort of not paying workers' compensation or insurance, or purposely misclassifying your employees to pay a lower rate. And to give you a prime example, is a roofing company could classify Arnie Brigg as a clerical worker, and they would be covered, but when Arnie Brigg fell off that roof, he would not be covered. So not only when they do that, they're not paying their fair share, is when somebody's injured, the rest of the community, and you and I, we pick up the tab. So those are just some of the examples that I worked with various agencies: the State Office of Minority and Women Business Assistance, the Department of Capital and Asset Management, the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, the Office of the Attorney General's Fair Labor Division. We worked on wage hour issues. We worked with collective bargaining. We worked with both union and non-union labor groups, and the effort again was to level the playing field, because the reality is that when you're a small business owner like myself, it's very difficult to run your business when you're paying for everything from the pen that's in my hand to the lights that are above my head. And when these illegitimate businesses undercut legitimate businesses by not only not paying their fair share of the various things that I just mentioned, but also seeking to hire people under the table, both documented and undocumented. And when they do that, they strip those workers of rights and they exploit them. And when they do that, they also undercut and make it more difficult for both small and large business owners to operate. So that was the initiative. We did very well in a very short amount of time. We recovered over $4.5 million for the state, for various agencies. And
is that still in business?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. I took it to a point where I thought it was doing very well, and I had always wanted to open up my own law practice. So I left it at a point where it was doing very well. It's still doing very well. They're still getting millions of dollars back annually from policies and procedures and initiatives that I created with help from other agencies. And I wish it well. It's going to continue to do well. During my time there, I not only wrote the budget, I spearheaded legislation for a retained revenue account, which if it goes through, and I hope it does, it will actually create an agency which is self-funding from the money that we recapture from these illegitimate or bad actors, so to speak. So I'm hoping that legislation goes through, but I know that the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development has their hands full with just trying to keep the jobless numbers down and get people back to work. So
But you say this